Hi there, and welcome to The Works. I'm Ben Che.
And I'm Ben Peltier. In today's show, a cultural exchange, tap dance, music, and photography.
The tap dance comes in the form of Dane Perry's Tap Dogs, which is performing at the Academy for Performing Arts throughout this week. It's a high-energy show designed to instantly dissipate any idea that there is something not quite manly enough about dance. Keep watching, as the show's dancers will be in our studio.
The music comes from countertenor Philippe Burtynsky, who spoke to us during his recent visit to Hong Kong to tell us about music born of a kind of musical feud between composers George Friedrich Handel and Nicola Porpora.
And the cultural exchange is between Hong Kong and Mumbai in a program called Encounters 2014. Is there love in this air?
First, though, photography, and more specifically, the work of Canadian photographer Edward Burtynsky. At the Sundaram Tagore Gallery until June the 21st, Edward is presenting large-scale photographs from his current series. The topic is water and the way we use it.
I'm not a classic landscape photographer. Like some of the famous landscape photographers in the past were like Ansel Adams or Edward Weston in America. I photograph human systems on the land, how we use the land. So I'm not a nature photographer, I'm a human use of nature photographer. And I was in Australia and I was hearing stories about how Australia as a continent was drying back. It was the first continent to be really seeing the effects of global warming. And I saw what was happening to the people and to the wildlife and the whole landscape as the water was drying up. And I realized how critical water is. Water as a precious resource is an understatement, is that, I can't be having this conversation, right? I wouldn't be here without water. The way I kind of look at my work is I ask myself questions. So in water, I went to the source of water, so I went to see where water was still pure, and then I looked at how we control water through dams and aqueducts and looking at how we, again, shape water, bring it to the places that we want it. And then I looked at agriculture and aquaculture. There is a small 10-minute film I called Where I Stand, which shows the process of making the pictures. And I think this project, I was not only making still images, it was part of a film project, so I had a video crew with me. So with the video crew, I started suggesting that we show the process involved in making these pictures. To me, the picture is interesting when you have a body experience with it, a relationship, that you get closer to it, pull away, you can look at it in a corner, and we don't see the real world that way. The world's never on a plane, two-dimensional plane. So a picture is something that we don't experience as people in a three-dimensional reality moving around. Sometimes it feels that we're helpless to actually do anything about it. And I often wonder whether it's beyond governments to even solve these problems. It's only until people begin to recognize the problems. So it is discouraging. It does. I do feel grief. Sometimes sadness, largely for the planet and for the next generation. So I have daughters too, and I probably the first generation that will say that I'm pretty sure that my kids won't have the opportunities that I had because we couldn't figure out how to prevent the worst from happening. We couldn't prevent ourselves from despoiling the landscape and the water and the air. Capitalism only cares about the next quarter, and that's forced governments, I think, to only care about getting into power in the next election cycle. So democracy and corporations are now very short-term thinking. And what we need to do is we need to go back to long-term thinking. It occurred to me that if I just focused all my efforts and all my research to understand what we're doing to nature and how we're expanding the human enterprise around the planet, that it was enough, it was a big enough idea to be my life's work.